Welcome into the latest episode of the Betting the Pitch Soccer Podcast. I'm your host, Real_G Warner. Today we're going through a little bit off the beaten path. We're going to do some Carabao EFL Cup, plus some Spanish La Liga as they have midweek action, and then the Coppa Italia. So we have some smaller clubs that are coming in here. I probably won't spend too long in those games, but we'll try to cover everything on the September 23rd card because didn't feel like separating this and trying to figure out what the heck to do for the rest of this week. So I might just do a podcast each of the nights. Got a big podcast load tomorrow at the Betting the Pitch Podcast Network. You can find us on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. If you leave a 5-star review, leave a comment in there. I will certainly address it or have one of my co-hosts do it. And then, of course, if you're looking on YouTube at the Real_G Warner, we'll get you done, get you the YouTube shorts, which will give you the best bet coming from this episode, plus the NFL podcast with A_Schnicker, which we're recording on Wednesday this week. And then, of course, plenty of Tuesday action on the pregame.com podcast network for Wednesday and Major League Baseball. And, of course, for the college football podcast. So go check that out over there on RJ Bell's Dream Preview or the Straight Out of Vegas feed. And you can find that stuff there. I think without further ado, check out my Patreon, patreon.com/Real_G Warner for my plays across all sports. Got the over in the NFL through the door. And let's find some winners on the Tuesday soccer card. Thanks to you that are here live. If you want, throw some comments in here and I will address them when I see them. But let's get over to the soccer stuff because that's what you're here for on this evening. We'll start with the Carabao Cup. And like I said, there's some smaller clubs here that I don't know a ton about. Wrexham, obviously very famous, three-quarter goal favorites to Reading. All the juice on Wrexham right now totals 2 3/4 juice all the way to over. Their climb has been incredible, a lot because they have famous people that have bankrolled them and have a TV show and such. I do feel like if there's ever a time to bet against a team in soccer because they've got too much publicity, it's probably Wrexham. But I don't know enough about Reading to do that. Wigan hosting Wickham, currently Wigan quarter goal favorites right now. All the juice on Wickham away. Total is 2 1/4, just a little bit more to over. Um, can't say that I got much to say about that one. Barnsley hosting Brighton as we have a Premier League club finally. Barnsley 1.5 goal underdogs at home to Brighton with all the juice. Total is 3, juiced all the way to over. Brighton have been pretty, got another win against Manchester City under their belt in the Premier League. They're a talented team. There are big clubs that get eliminated in this competition, and it's hard for me to figure out. It's kind of like SEC college football here in the United States, where it seems that there's usually an SEC team that will lose to some sort of FCS opponent. I don't think Memphis was that, but Arkansas certainly went down to them last weekend here in the United States. But there are upsets that they occur. It depends on who's taking this seriously, and I highly recommend any of you who are betting this stuff, you need to wait the lineups and be ready. If you have some conviction behind what you want to play, you better go play it fast because the numbers move really quickly. Key numbers are shot through regularly depending on what lineups out there, and it's really hard to know until you see that announced 1 hour before a matchup on Twitter, or maybe an hour and 15 if you're lucky. Move next to Lincoln. They're 2 goal underdogs at home to Chelsea. Over unders 3 1/4 here, just more to the under, and a lot of the juice on Lincoln. I imagine Chelsea are rotating and playing some of their younger players or out of rotation players, try to get them some experience. We'll see when that all comes about. Burnley 1 goal favorites Cardiff City. Currently Burnley, actually Cardiff City with almost all the juice. So it's 2.5, juice very heavily to under. Another question: promoted side like Burnley, are they going to go all out for a EFL Cup, which is the second most important of the two cups that are out there? Certainly could learn to play together, but there's a long, long season ahead, and Burnley probably will look forward to that. Fulham 2 goal favorites to Cambridge. All the juice on Cambridge. Totals 3, juice more to the under. I think Fulham are a really talented, strong side in the Premier League, but another thing that you never know with the mid-table side, how much are they going for this? They should because they're safe pretty early. So I feel like they could certainly look to win some cups, but they've rotated a lot in the past under Marco Silva. Now, Wolverhampton hosting Everton. This is two Premier League sides matching up, which is clearly rare. But I'm interested in this one because Wolves are quarter goal underdogs at home with a lot of juice. Totals 2.5, juice very heavily to under. I've got a read on Everton, and they are a low scoring, no scoring type of team. They've got some more goals in them. I think Jack Grealish was named Player of the Month, and I don't even know that he played all the matches that others did. He's been great creating for Everton, but they create nothing without him, it seems. Wolverhampton has been off to a horrible start. Same thing last season, got their manager Gary O'Neill, who I really liked, fired. or sacked, and then they brought in a middling manager from Saudi Arabia or Qatar, or one of the oil-rich countries in the Middle East. Um, and they stayed up last year, but it's been really bad so far to start this year. They're it makes sense they're a home underdog, even against a team that can't score like Everton. I think under 2.5 is my biggest interest, but I don't know who's going to play in this matchup. I would imagine Wolverhampton probably wants to play their best, try to get an idea of how to play together for the Premier League coming up on the weekend. But it's been grotesque so far. Last on Tuesday, we have Liverpool. They are 2.25 goal favorites to Southampton. Almost all the juice in Southampton right now. Total's 3.5, juice all the way to over. Southampton have not been on my radar after how bad, probably the worst Premier League team I've seen since I've been doing these podcasts. Liverpool, really talented, tough to play at Anfield. Maybe Southampton goes there and competes. I'm not sure. I'll do Wednesday because I figured, well, why not while we're recording. Huddersfield Town, they're 2.25 goal underdogs at home to Manchester City on Wednesday. Total's 3.5, just all the way to under. I mean, City should murder them, but City have been really disappointing for a while. This is just a far lower level of competition. Tottenham 2 goal favorites at Doncaster. Tottenham all the juice right there, climbing towards 2.25. It looks 3.25 is the total, a little bit more juice to under. Newcastle 2.5 goal favorites to Bradford. Sounds like a nice person. Total is 3.5, just a little bit more to under. Good luck going to St. James's Park and beating Newcastle, though they should certainly be rotating after Barcelona last week and the Premier League match this weekend. And Port Vale or Vale, I'm not sure, or Dale if you're a Spanish speaker. They're 2.5 goal underdogs to Arsenal. Total's 3.5, just more to the under. Arsenal's backup certainly will be in here. But then again, Mikel Arteta hates to rotate. So this is interesting. I'll be very interested to see what the lineup look like in this matchup because, like I said, Mikel Arteta, he doesn't care about getting his players hurt because he tries to make his guys play 90 minutes in Champions League and Premier League and probably the Cups the whole season. But I think he should rotate because hopefully he'll learn. For my best bet from the England Carabao Cup or the EFL Cup portion of the show, I'm going to go with that Wolves-Everton matchup on Tuesday, the 23rd. That is, I think, probably the best number out there. So I'll go Wolves under 2.5 is my best bet in England. We'll move now to La Liga in Spain. As soon as I can find where I have this in my tabs. Got a full midweek match, I think, because La Liga started a week later than everybody else, so might as well make up some time here. We'll start with Athletic Club hosting Girona. Currently, Athletic Club 1.25 goal favorites. All the juice on Girona away. Total is 2.5 here. Juice pretty heavily to over, almost all the way. Girona have been a disaster this season, but Athletic Club, they got off to 3 wins in 3, then suffered a really bad luck own goal loss, which was disappointing because I have them to finish top 4. And they were way ahead of Atletico Madrid at that point, and then it suddenly became less. But Athletic Club are talented, but I just don't really trust them to score a lot of goals. I think my biggest interest is under 2.5, and that a lot depends on how Girona is going to play defensively. I'm not sure I feel great about that. Espanyol then hosts Valencia. Currently, Espanyol quarter goal favorites. The juice split both ways, so it's 2.25. She's pretty heavily to under. Valencia are a competitive team, and they are much more famous, historic than Espanyol. But Espanyol, I think, have been playing better. They were way safe, nowhere near relegation last season, and Valencia were fighting it for a long time, unexpectedly almost. With that said, Espanyol has not been a home favorite for a while. They've been great there, though, and I don't know. I mean, they've certainly sold a lot of players that have moved on from Espanyol just from last season to this one. And Valencia are getting stronger with their young players that are pretty much they just went youth team essentially at the La Liga level and fortunately stayed in the league for their supporters. But I think Valencia getting a quarter of a goal and under 2.25 are my interests here. But I don't know that I really am ready to fade Espanyol at this point, though coming off a trip to Real Madrid might be a good spot to do it. Speaking of Real Madrid, they visit Levante in the Valencia Comunidad. Currently, Valencia 1.5, excuse me, Levante 1.5 goal underdogs. Don't want to make that mistake. Levante 1.5 goal underdogs to Real Madrid at home. Totals 3.25, just a little bit more to over, slightly more to the Real Madrid side. I probably want 2 goals if I want to play Levante because I've not been very impressed by them so far at this level. And I don't think we'll get there. To the nightcap, I guess starting at the same time in the second window with Levante Real Madrid. We have Sevilla hosting Villarreal. Currently, Sevilla quarter goal underdogs at home with more juice. Totals 2.5, juice more to the under. Villarreal looked horrible at Atletico Madrid, then played a Champions League match for the first time in a couple seasons, and they sold a lot of players, and I don't think they're anywhere near as strong as they used to be. So I'm pretty interested in Sevilla. They've been bad for much longer, and lean to under 2.5 in that one as well, because I just don't know that I see the goals from Villarreal this season. Moving to Wednesday, Getafe hosting Alaves. Currently, Getafe quarter goal favorites at home. More juice on Alaves away. Totals 1 3/4. Use more to the under, and we're back to total sub 2. I like under here, but I'm not playing until I get a full 2 to push if that somehow happens. I don't think we're going to get that. I'll lean to Alaves getting the quarter of a goal, especially after that big win at Athletic Club. I think we're going to see Alaves play very defensively, and that's exactly how Getafe want to play. So 1 3/4 as a total makes sense. Atletico Madrid then hosts Rayo Vallecano, current Atleti 1 goal favorites with all the juice totals 2.5. Juice more to the over. Excuse me. Rayo are gonna go play great defense. They are a team that I trust. Manager, a disciple of Andoni Iraola from the English Premier League at Bournemouth. Was supposed to go with him, and I think didn't get a visa, and then eventually found his way into the head job at Rayo after they moved on from Andoni Iraola's replacement. But Atleti have not been impressive. I don't think one match against Villarreal when they're gifted a goal in the 9th minute that really changed things and gave them some confidence. Yes, they're at home, but I'm not really too afraid of that. So Rayo +1, Rayo under 2.5. Very interested to me there. To the nightcap on Wednesday, I guess starting the same time as Atleti. Real Sociedad, half a goal favorites to Mallorca right now. Almost all the juice on Real Sociedad. Over under is 2 1/4, juice a little bit more to over. Mallorca are going to play defensively. That's what they do. Even through a manager change, Real Sociedad have been a disaster. They're speaking of giving gifts to the other team, like Villarreal did to Atleti. You could certainly say that's what Real Sociedad did to Kylian Mbappe. Pretty much sent him a through ball right on 1-0 on the goalkeeper. I want to be on the Mallorca side. I like low scoring game here. I don't think Real Sociedad have goals in their team. They just seem to score from the penalty spot with Mikel Oyarzabal, and that's about it. And it's sad for the first club that I ever saw live play in Europe, but they've been a disaster, and I like Mallorca going on the road, even though they don't score much at all. Probably lean under is the strongest one there. To Thursday, Osasuna, half a goal favorites right now to Elche. All the juice on Elche right now, surprisingly, totals 2 1/4, juice all the way to under. And the interesting part to me, Osasuna, great home team. They get a lot of support in El Sadar in Pamplona. But Elche are going to try to possess the ball and control the game. And I really like that as a big underdog. Half of a goal is not gigantic and certainly juiced that direction, so it might fall to a quarter. But I like the dog, and I'll be leaning that way into under 2 1/4, though it's very juiced at the moment. And last but not least, we have Real Oviedo hosting Barcelona. Currently, Oviedo 1 3/4 goal underdog at home. A little bit, a couple cents, a couple pennies more juice on Barca right now. Totals 3 1/4. Juice more to the over. Would expect over and Barca to be hit. Real Oviedo were very competitive, I thought, to Real Madrid at home in their first return back to La Liga in 25 years, the Premier Division. I would imagine a similar type of crowd, though certainly there'll be plenty of Barca fans there as well. I think I need the full 2 goals to get interested, and I guess I'd lean to under 3 1/4, but it's not a strong one because unders with Barca, especially that high line, if they don't time it great, that is a scary, scary thing. But I don't know how many chances Oviedo will have, and it's really about their crowd boosting their energy levels so they can defend as long as possible. So I think under 3 1/4 is more interesting to me than the +1 3/4, and probably even more than the 2. For my best bet on this episode, let's go to. I think we're gonna go to Wednesday, and I'm just gonna go against. I'm tempted to go against Atleti, but they do have much better talent. I'm gonna go against Real Sociedad until they figure it out. So Mallorca, Real Sociedad under 2 1/4 goals on Wednesday in Spain's La Liga. We'll move last to Coppa Italia in Italy. I don't think we have anything Germany going on midweek, nor in France. We'll start on Tuesday with Cagliari hosting Frosinone, recently demoted or relegated to Serie B. Cagliari 3 1/4 goal favorites. The Serie A club, a little bit more juice, totals 2.5. Juice pretty heavily to under. I don't expect a lot of goals here. I'm not really sure that Cagliari ever expect a lot. It really depends on Frosinone's defense, and that's something I'm gonna have to research. Udinese then hosts Palermo. Currently, Udinese 3 1/4 goal favorites. All the juice on Palermo away. Total is 2 1/4. Juice pretty heavily to over right now. Palermo has been spending a lot of money to try to climb to Serie A. I have not done it yet, but are pretty talented. So I'm curious about what they're going to do this season. I'll lean that way, though. Udinese, I think, have gotten off to a pretty good start. So I probably want a full goal of insurance on that one. To the nightcap, we have Milan hosting Lecce, as I wear my Cristiano, as they say, Christian Pulisic jersey to Captain America. Milan, 1 and 3/4 goal favorites with more juice on Lecce. Total is three, juiced all the way to under. Biggest interest for me is Lecce just trying to go and muck this game up as much as they can. They can't really score. Milan, under a very conservative manager like Massimiliano Allegri, I think he's suspended for this matchup, or maybe that was this past weekend for getting a red card and almost doing the strip tease like he had in the past. It's hilarious. The commentators even referenced it when he won the Coppa Italia before Juventus decided he was done. I'll lean under there. To Wednesday, we have three matches. Parma, they are hosting Spezia from Serie B or potentially lower. Parma, 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice. Total is two, just all the way to over. Another question, because Parma haven't been scoring much for a while since their manager took over and then left for Inter, and not much this season either. I think under two is my biggest interest, but I need to do some research on Spezia before kickoff on Wednesday morning here in the United States. Verona then hosts Venezia. Currently, Verona half a goal favorites, a little bit more juice on Venezia. Total is 2 1/4. Juice is split both ways on that one. Verona, I mean, they're a team I've been backing for years. They're never really given much respect. They're always in a relegation fight, never goes very well. And Venezia recently relegated. We'll see what they look like, but they were very defensive last season, and I kind of will look to see uh, Verona struggle to score goals like they did Cremonese a couple of Mondays ago. And last but not least, Como are hosting Sassuolo in a double Serie A matchup, or two Serie A clubs. Como promoted 2 seasons ago, Sassuolo this season, but Como 3/4 goal favorites with all the juice, likely climbing towards one. They get a lot of respect, got a lot of respect at Fiorentina and Firenze or Florence this weekend. Sassuolo, I mean, they're a really talented club that bring on good players. But they seem pretty young and naive, and that's my biggest question. I think there's probably not a lot I want to do here until I get a full goal of insurance from Sassuolo, but I'll lean to them getting 3/4 at the current moment. For my best bet on this episode, let's go with. I feel like the Milan Lecce under 3 goals is probably my biggest interest because that push on three is really important. I think that's a key number in soccer. So there we go. That'll be my best bet from Italy. And then before I sum it up and get you an old best bet and get out of here, we're 3-0 got off to a 3-0 start to start the season. Let me make sure I didn't miss any comments. Nobody's in here. Well, thank you for those of you that have been here live. It's a briefer episode than usual, but we'll get back into it and get deeper this weekend. But I guess it's time for me to go then. Let's go remind you where I'm going with my best bets and then put her out there. So in the EFL Cup, the Carabao Cup, we'll go Wolverhampton Wanderers, 2.5, under 2.5 in their home matchup with Everton. In La Liga in Spain, this is just a summary portion. I'll give you the best bet in 1 second. In La Liga on Wednesday, like Mallorca, under 2 1/4 goals, visiting Real Sociedad, and Coppa Italia on I believe Wednesday as well. Maybe this is Tuesday. This is Tuesday. Milan hosting Lecce. I'll go under 3 goals and what I expect to be a pretty low scoring match. And though we'll probably see how talented Milan's backups are, even though they're not in Europe this season. If you're looking for my plays across all sports every day, patreon.com/real_G Warner. If you want the 1 minute reels, Instagram.com/real_G Warner. Also on YouTube at the real_G Warner, where you can subscribe and get these full podcasts too. Plus Betting the Pitch and Apple Podcasts and on Spotify is where you can find all these soccer podcasts, plus the NFL podcast with _Schnicker. We're recording that on Wednesday this week as he's on the beach somewhere getting his tan on, probably trimming his mustache, or maybe not. But we'll be back on your airwaves pretty soon. And thanks for the support. Of course, pregame stuff going with Lante and with Munaf all night tomorrow night, because that's what I do here now. For my best bet on this episode, let's go with Mallorca visiting Real Sociedad. We'll go under 2 1/4 in a La Liga midweek match. Thank you all for joining live. I really appreciate that, especially last minute, late night. But hit the 5-star review button, hit the like button, hit subscribe, and we'll talk to you all soon.